There was a time when the world looked at India as a land of peace, philosophy, and patience, but underestimated its power. For centuries, India was looted, colonized, and broken down. Yet it rose, not with hatred, not with vengeance, but with silent strength and bold resilience. And today the world watches in awe, as India does not just rise, it roars on land, in water, in air, and even in space. Gone are the days when India depended on foreign nations for defense. Today, India is creating weapons so advanced, so precise, powerful, and unexpected that even the global superpower, America, is stunned. These weapons are not just tools of defense. They are symbols of how far India has come from being colonized to becoming a global force. This is not about war. This is about self-respect, about saying we will not be bullied. This is about a country that once preached ahimsa, non-violence, now building missile systems that can find a target 5,000 kilometers away with pinpoint accuracy. This is about a country that once depended on outdated rifles, now creating hypersonic technology, nuclear submarines, stealth drones, and AI-powered combat systems. There was a time when the world viewed India merely through the lens of its spirituality, its past, its saints, and its simplicity. It was seen as the land of sages, of ancient philosophy, of tolerance and peace. But what many forgot or chose to ignore was that behind that calm exterior, a silent revolution was taking place. A revolution not driven by noise, but by knowledge. Not by aggression, but by innovation. Not by boasting, but by building. India's rise in defense technology has not been a tale of sudden miracles. It has been a steady march of focus, discipline, and vision. While the world slept on India's capabilities, this country quietly laid the foundation of one of the most advanced and self-reliant defense ecosystems in the world. When a country is underestimated, it gains a rare power, the power of surprise. And India has mastered this. While many nations relied on flashy announcements and military posturing, India invested in science, in minds, in experiments, in failures, and in lessons. The Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, scientists across the nation, engineers in labs, and brave leaders within the armed forces worked tirelessly not for applause but for advancement. Their mission was not just to defend borders, but to restore dignity, to prove that a nation once colonized can now create missiles that send shockwaves across the globe, not through destruction, but through demonstration. India's defense transformation didn't begin with global approval. It began with self-belief. The belief that we don't need to rely on external powers for our security. The belief that we have the intellect, the manpower, and the resolve to build what others think we can't. And that belief is now paying off. Today, the world sees an India that is no longer a follower. It's not just participating in the global arms race. It is innovating on its own terms with precision-guided weaponry, nuclear submarine, supersonic missiles, and next-generation combat aircrafts. India has created a defense capability that can no longer be ignored. This silent revolution is what truly shocks America, not because India was expected to fail, but because India was never expected to lead in this field. For too long, India was seen through a narrow lens. People saw the poverty, the chaos, the bureaucracy, but they missed the brains behind the barriers. They missed the thinkers, the dreamers, the warriors, working in silence. And now, when they witness India testing an anti-satellite weapon in space, when they see the BrahMos missile fly at nearly 3 times the speed of sound, when they watch the Tejas fighter jet patrol the skies with full indigenization, it shakes their assumptions, because the India they assumed was dependent is now defining its own path. The silent revolution in Indian defense is also a wake-up call to every individual who feels underestimated. It tells you that you don't need validation to start building. You don't need applause to start progressing. When the world ignores you, don't argue, outperform. When they doubt you, don't explain, execute. That's exactly what India did. For every failed missile test, for every delayed project, there were lessons learned, systems improved, and resilience built. And that's how the foundation of modern Indian defense was laid. Not in public, but in patience. Not with praise, but with persistence. This transformation also proves one eternal truth. Power respects power. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards performance. And today, because of this revolution, global powers, including America, are forced to acknowledge India's defense capabilities with respect. Not out of charity, but out of reality. Because when a nation develops the ability to defend its interests with strength, the world is forced to listen when it speaks. And India, through its advanced defense innovations, has earned that seat at the global table. Yet, this revolution isn't just about missiles and machines. It's about mindset. It's about reminding every Indian that we are not behind, that our limitations are not permanent, that our future is not defined by our past. It's about showing the world and ourselves that when we focus, when we invest in our people, when we believe in our strength, we rise quietly but powerfully. When a nation begins to believe in itself, something powerful happens. It stops copying others. It stops waiting for help. It stops making excuses. Instead, it begins to create, to innovate, to take control of its destiny. That's exactly what happened when India decided to focus on indigenous innovation in its defense sector. The journey from dependence to self-reliance wasn't easy. It wasn't fast, but it was intentional. It was built on the idea that a truly sovereign nation is not just politically free, it is technologically free. And that freedom is only possible when a nation can defend itself with systems it has built on its own terms. There was a time when India relied heavily on foreign nations for almost every weapon, from rifles to fighter jets, from submarines to missiles. These deals cost billions, came with restrictions, and made the country vulnerable. What if a war broke out and the supplier refused to send spare parts? What if a technology was denied? What if India's security was compromised because it didn't have control over its own defense tools? These were not just hypothetical concerns. These were real threats. And it was these questions that sparked the fire of self-reliance. India began building its own weapons, not just to save money, but to take charge of its own future. The result, a surge of innovation that has stunned the world. Take the BrahMos missile, for example. Developed jointly by India and Russia, but largely manufactured and evolved by Indian scientists, it is now the fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world. Countries like the Philippines and Vietnam are eager to buy it, and global defense experts are in awe of its precision and power. Then there's the Tejas light combat aircraft, a fighter jet made completely in India. After years of setbacks and criticism, the Tejas is now in service with the Indian Air Force and has earned the respect of even the harshest skeptics. But it doesn't stop there. The DRDO's work on the Akash surface-to-air missile, the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launcher, the Arjun battle tank, and the near-bay cruise missile has shown that Indian engineers are not just catching up. They're innovating at a world-class level. These systems are not prototypes. They are tested, refined, deployed, and ready. They are used in real-time defense scenarios. And what's more inspiring, they are made by Indian minds, built with Indian materials, and run by Indian hands. Indigenous innovation isn't just about technical achievement. It's about empowerment. Every time a missile is built in India, it empowers a scientist. Every time a drone is designed locally, it gives confidence to an engineer. Every time a fighter jet takes off from Indian soil, powered by Indian systems, it ignites a sense of national pride in every citizen. It tells you, you don't need to go abroad to innovate. You can build a future here for your country. This movement also opens doors beyond the battlefield. Defense innovation leads to breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, robotics, aerospace, and cybersecurity. It creates jobs. It builds industries. It transforms the economy. It makes a nation more resilient, not just in war, but in peace. Because when a country builds its own technology, it doesn't just protect its borders. It protects its sovereignty in every field. And perhaps what's most incredible is that India has done all of this without being an aggressor. Unlike some nations that build weapons to dominate or invade, India's innovation is rooted in peace. The goal is never to strike first, but to always be ready. This mindset makes India's indigenous defense innovation not only powerful, but also honorable. It's not about fear, it's about strength with discipline, power with responsibility. What shocks the world and even America is the scale and quality of India's transformation. No one expected that a country once criticized for outdated equipment would now be exporting weapons, developing quantum communication systems, and building nuclear submarines at home. But that's the power of focus, the power of purpose, the power of believing in your own capabilities when the world doesn't. Let this story be your motivation. You may not be building missiles, but you are building your life. Stop waiting for others to give you permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Use what you have. Start where you are. Believe in your own skills. Build your future with your own hands. Because when you do, you become unstoppable. Just like India has. Innovation is not about having more resources. It's about using what you already have with determination, intelligence, and vision. That's the story of India's indigenous weapons. And it can be the story of your personal revolution too. There is something deeply powerful about being underestimated. When people don't see you coming, when they ignore your progress, when they assume you're not capable, that's when you have the chance to surprise them. That's when you catch them off guard. That's exactly what India has done on the global stage with its weapons technology. For decades, the world saw India as a developing country that relied on others for its defense needs. They believed India could not create systems on par with the West. But silently, methodically, and relentlessly, India built up a military and technological arsenal that now shocks even the most advanced nations, including the United States. The power that India has demonstrated in recent years lies in its ability to fuse speed, stealth, and precision. These three elements define modern warfare, and India has mastered all of them. While many countries boast about power, India has gone a step further by developing weapons that are not only powerful, but incredibly fast and accurate. That's what truly stuns the global defense community. A weapon is only as effective as its ability to strike first, strike fast, and strike with deadly precision. And India's New Age systems do just that. Tomorrow, New Age systems do just. Take the BrahMos missile, for example. This is not just another missile. It is the world's fastest supersonic cruise missile, capable of flying at speeds nearly 3 times the speed of sound. To put that in perspective, most defense systems don't even have time to react before the BrahMos has already struck its target. That kind of speed changes everything in a conflict. And the fact that India co-developed and now manufactures it at scale sends a strong message. India is not following anymore. It is innovating at the front lines of military technology. Then there's the intercontinental ballistic missile with a range of over 5,000 kilometers. This weapon is not about aggression. It's about deterrence. The precision guidance system ensures it can hit targets with extreme accuracy over long distances, giving India the strategic capability to neutralize threats far beyond its borders. That level of precision, combined with long-range capability, is a powerful force multiplier. It changes how other nations look at India. Not as a soft power only, but as a nation that can defend itself against any global threat with world-class systems. Another example is the Rudram anti-radiation missile, built to destroy enemy radars and communication hubs. This missile doesn't just explode, it thinks. It uses sensors to home in on radiation signals, allowing it to take out critical enemy systems with surgical precision. That's not brute force, that's intelligence-driven warfare. And it proves that India is not just building weapons, it's building smart weapons. Tools that can outthink as well as outgun their counterparts. What really shocks America and the West is not just the weapons themselves, but how fast India has achieved this level of advancement. In a world where developing defense systems can take decades, India has leapfrogged through innovation, determination, and collaboration. While others were busy showcasing their strength, India was busy sharpening its edge, quietly, consistently. And now that edge is sharp enough to make even the most powerful nations pause and rethink their assumptions. But this isn't just a military story. It's a mindset. It's a mindset that teaches us the true value of preparation. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to be seen to be strong. Real power is silent. It is built in quiet hours, in lonely labs, in forgotten corners of effort. It's what you do when nobody's watching that determines how the world reacts when they finally do. Now, the world is reacting in shock. This rise also proves that true strength lies in the ability to act with speed and precision in any area of life. Whether it's launching a missile or building your own business. Success doesn't just come from strength. It comes from smart decisions, rapid execution, and the ability to strike with focus when the moment arrives. The faster you move with clarity, the less time your obstacles have to respond. That's the essence of victory, not just having power, but knowing how and when to use it. India's journey from a buyer of weapons to a builder of world-class defense systems is not just a national achievement. It's a global message. A message that no one should be underestimated. A message that quiet minds can create loud impacts. And most importantly, A message that if you prepare with discipline, act with speed, and move with precision, you can shock the world, no matter where you started. In a world full of aggression and arrogance, there's something profoundly admirable about strength held in silence. True power isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't march around demanding attention. It simply waits, prepared, precise, and unshakable. That is the philosophy behind India's defense strategy. While some nations chase headlines with military shows of force, India takes a different path. It does not build weapons to conquer, it builds to protect. It does not provoke conflict, it prepares to prevent it. And that mindset is what makes India's military rise so unique and so shocking to global powers like America. Because India isn't acting like a superpower. It's becoming one, without the noise. Strategic deterrence is the quiet language of the wise. It says, we don't want to fight, but we will if we must, and we will win. It means developing the kind of power that discourages enemies from even thinking about conflict. It means making your capabilities known, not to intimidate, but to ensure peace. And India has mastered this art. Its weapon systems are not created to threaten its neighbors. They are designed to send a clear message to the world. We are not weak, we are not vulnerable, and we will defend our sovereignty with unwavering force if provoked. Look at how India has approached nuclear capability. It has the power, but it uses it responsibly. It does not flaunt or brandish it, it simply holds it like a sword in its sheath, ready but restrained. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. In fact, the restraint India shows, despite having immense military strength, is what separates a mature power from a reckless one. India's no first use nuclear policy stands as a testimony to its belief in peace through preparedness. This same philosophy extends to its development of high-tech systems like the Agni and Prithvi missile series. These aren't tools of war. They are instruments of deterrence. They ensure that anyone thinking of harming India has to think again and again. These systems give India the strategic confidence to stand its ground without having to shout. That's true deterrence, making your enemy reconsider before the first move is ever made. And yet, it's not just about the weapons. It's about the posture, the dignity, the discipline. While other nations run war drills for the cameras, India runs research labs behind closed doors, while others broadcast their arsenal on television. India quietly launches satellites, tests hypersonic missiles, and commissions stealth destroyers. It does the work not for the world to praise, but for its people to be saved. This restraint, backed by rigidness, shocks the world. Why? Because it's rare. Most powerful nations equate strength with intimidation. But India shows that real power lies in being able to fight, but choosing not to, having the capacity to destroy, but choosing to protect. That is the highest form of strength, not just in nations, but in individuals. And it sends a message far beyond military borders. It tells every citizen that peace does not mean weakness, and strength does not require noise. There's a deeper lesson here, too. In life, just like in geopolitics, the ones who are truly strong are not the ones who scream the loudest. They are the ones who stay composed, who train in silence, who prepare while others party, who focus while others fight. When the storm comes, they don't panic. They act. India is becoming that kind of nation. Not reactive, but proactive. Not fearful, but firm. Strategic deterrence is also about foresight. It's about preparing for threats before they arise. It's about building systems today that ensure safety tomorrow. India's investment in artificial intelligence, cyber defense, space weaponry, and drone warfare shows that it's not just defending today's borders, it's securing tomorrow's possibilities. That level of vision is what elevates a country from being reactive to being respective. And make no mistake, when the world is watching, the quiet strength India has built is not just surprising global powers. It's making them rethink their assumptions. Nations that once saw India as dependent are now seeking partnerships, alliances, and even defense purchases. That shift didn't happen through aggression. It happened through strategy, through patience, through building silently, preparing relentlessly, and standing tall without shouting. Let this be a lesson in your own life. You don't need to prove your worth to the world every day. You don't need to respond to every insult or fight every battle. Build yourself so strong, so unshakable, so grounded, that those who doubt you stop on their own. That's strategic deterrence in its purest form, not just on the battlefield, but in your career, your relationships, your dreams. Like India, let your silence speak volumes. Let your preparation become your defense. Let your calm become your shield. And when the world finally realizes your strength, let them be shocked. Not by what you say, but by what you've become. Pride is not built in parades or ceremonies. True national pride is forged in the quiet moments of achievement. When a country breaks through its limits, when it does what the world thought it couldn't, and when it lifts the spirit of its people by proving that greatness lies within them. That's exactly what India's modern defense achievements have done. Every missile tested, every fighter jet launched, every homegrown weapon system developed is more than just military hardware. It is a statement of identity. It tells every Indian that we are no longer just dreamers of glory. We are now the builders of it. When a country that was once colonized, mocked, and overlooked begins to rise with undeniable power, it changes how its people view themselves. India's advanced weapons systems aren't just tools of defense. They are symbols of national confidence. They are proof that the nation is no longer relying on others to secure its borders or shape its future. And that change creates a ripple effect across the mindset of an entire generation. Every time the BrahMos missile is successfully tested, it doesn't just make headlines, it ignites a sense of wonder in young minds. They begin to believe that Indian scientists can compete with the best, that they too can be part of something bigger than themselves, that they can build, invent, protect, and innovate for their nation. This is what real patriotism looks like, not just waving the flag, but contributing to the strength behind it. Think about the Tejas fighter jet. It is a fully indigenous aircraft that was once dismissed by critics as impossible. For years, experts doubted whether India could develop such a complex system on its own. But today, the Teja not only flies, it inspires. It represents the sweat of Indian engineers, the intellect of Indian designers, and the courage of Indian pilots. When people see it in the skies, they don't just see metal. They see hope. They see the rebirth of national pride. That pride is even more powerful because it's earned. It's not given by the world. It's taken through effort. It's built through struggle, delays, criticism, and relentless persistence. These weapons are not the result of easy shortcuts. They are the outcome of generations refusing to give up on their country's potential. And when the final product is unveiled, be it the Ariane submarine or the Aksangeni missile system, it carries within it the stories of those who dared to believe that India could stand tall on its own. What truly stuns global powers like America is not just the quality of India's weapons, but the sheer pride with which they are developed and displayed. This isn't imitation, it's innovation. And when a country begins to innovate with pride, it becomes unstoppable. Because it is no longer chasing others, it is setting its own path. It's no longer trying to prove something, it's simply proving it by action. This transformation fuels a national awakening. Suddenly, patriotism isn't just about what happened in the past. It's about what is being built in the present. It's about the future. It's about asking, what can I contribute to this rising nation? What can I build, write, invent, or defend? Every missile is a message. Every successful test is a turning point, and every advancement is a reminder that India is not the same country the world once overlooked. More importantly, this pride doesn't breed arrogance, it breeds responsibility. The power India now holds isn't used to intimidate others, it is held with discipline, with values, with a deep understanding that strength must always be matched with wisdom, that pride must always be grounded in service. That's what makes this moment so important. India is not just becoming powerful, it is becoming proud of the right things, its hard work, its resilience, its people, and that pride spreads. It reaches classrooms where students now dream of joining ISRO or DRDO. It reaches villages where young boys and girls believe they can be pilots, scientists, or strategists. It reaches workplaces where professionals realize their work contributes to something larger than profits. It contributes to progress. This is how a country transforms, not just through policies, but through passion. Not just through defense, but through dignity. So let this be more than a celebration of military success. Let it be a personal reminder. Pride is not found, it is built. Just like India built its defense, just like it refused to stay silent, you too can build pride in your life. Not by demanding respect, but by earning it. Not by speaking loudly, but by showing results. India is rising, and is doing so with quiet confidence and unshakable pride. The kind of pride that turns a nation into a force. The kind of pride that wakes up its people. The kind of pride that proves to the world, we are not what we were. We are becoming what we were always meant to be. Every great nation, like every great individual, is built on one simple formula: vision plus execution. Dreaming is not enough. Having ideas is not enough. What truly sets achievers apart from the rest is the ability to turn those dreams into tangible, measurable reality. India's journey in the field of defense is a perfect example of this principle. For decades, the vision was clear: a strong, self-reliant, and technologically advanced India that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the world's greatest powers. But that vision would have remained just a dream if not for relentless execution. It's that rare combination that has led to a moment in history where even global superpowers like America are looking at India's weapons programs with astonishment. It's easy to talk about greatness, it's easy to set goals and make promises, but the real challenge is in the doing. India didn't just say it wanted to become a leader in defense, it actually did the work. Year after year, scientists, engineers, and strategists worked behind the scenes, often without recognition or applause, to bring that vision to life. They faced failures. They faced budget constraints. They faced global skepticism. But they never gave up. And that unshakable execution is what made the difference. Take the BrahMos missile. It wasn't built overnight. It wasn't a lucky invention. It was the result of a partnership, yes, but more importantly, it was the result of Indian perseverance. From early testing stages to global deployment, the project went through countless iterations, failures, and corrections. But the result was worth it. Today, BrahMos is not just India's pride, it's one of the most feared and respected missiles in the world. But that didn't happen because someone wished it into existence. It happened because India committed to the long, painful, and precise process of execution. Same is true for the INS Arihant, India's first indigenously developed nuclear submarine. For years, skeptics laughed at the idea. A country like India building something so advanced? Impossible, they said. But India didn't listen. It kept building, kept improving, and when the submarine was finally commissioned, the world stopped laughing. Because it was no longer about the ambition, it was about the result. This combination of vision and execution is what separates global powers from developing nations. It's not about who dreams bigger, it's about who follows through. India's consistent investment in its defense ecosystem shows a level of strategic maturity that even America has begun to respect. The United States, with all its military might, knows the value of disciplined execution. That's why India's success is so shocking. It came not from flash, but from focus. Not from privilege, but from persistence. And what's most inspiring is that this principle doesn't just apply to nations, it applies to people. In your own life, you can have all the dreams in the world, but if you don't act on them with discipline, they will fade away. If India had only talked about becoming a defense power and never actually built anything, the world would not be watching today. Similarly, if you only talk about your goals, getting fit, becoming successful, starting a business, learning a skill, but don't take action, then nothing will change. Vision must be followed by execution, or it means nothing. India's rise in defense is a reminder to every person who has ever been doubted. It proves that when you commit to doing the hard work, when you show up day after day and refuse to quit, the world cannot ignore you forever. At first, they may doubt you. Then they'll mock you. Then they'll try to compete with you, because results speak louder than anything else. India's vision for a self-reliant defense system is now a reality, but it didn't happen through shortcuts. It happened through systems, through step-by-step progress, through learning from failure and improving each time. That's how anything great is built. That's how people build greatness. That's how nations rise. So take inspiration from this journey. Whatever your dream is, don't just talk about it. Act on it. Break it down into steps. Stick to your schedule. Be okay with failure. Keep refining. Keep going. Because if India can go from being a defense importer to a global powerhouse, if it can shock the world through sheer execution, then so can you, right where you are, what you have. In the end, it's not the loudest voice or the grandest dream that wins. It's the one who does the work. India did the work. And now the world is watching. let them watch you too. Not because of what you say, but because of what you build.